You're recording?
Yes.
All right. Welcome everybody to the Soda Creek All Candidates Forum. Tonight we have our 4 candidates that are going to be speaking. As usual, we're going to do a 2-minute introduction from each participant, followed by a series of questions, which they will have 1 minute to answer. And at the end, they'll have a 3-minute close. We'll rotate the order, and because we're doing this all via Zoom, phones and computers, this will be our first time. So I am crossing my fingers all goes well. If not, just bear with us and our new world of technology and the way we work. So welcome. So I am going to ask Donna to go first with her introduction. She has 2 minutes. And the timer will sound when she's completed.
Okay.
Yep.
So hello, everyone. Most of you know me. My name's Donna Dixon. My parents are Barbara Dixon and the late Philip Dixon. My paternal grandparents are the late Louisa and Norma Michelle. My maternal grandparents are the late Beatrice and Douglas Dixon. I've spent the last 3 years raising my 2 nieces and 2 nephews, ages 2, 6, 7, and 8. So needless to say, I've been very busy over the last 3 years. But one of the most important jobs I think I've done, and had the opportunity to be involved with them. I spent the majority of my working days working for our community. Lately, my life experiences led me to be more involved in the area of child and family. However, I come to the table with experience in treaty, health, natural resource administration, and political positions. I've also participated in policy development and have a working knowledge in all aspects of government, including the national, provincial, municipal, and local First Nation governments. I believe that we only move forward if we do it together and in a way that's respectful to First Nations history and knowledge. Our community has worked hard to get where we are. And there are so many more opportunities that we have the ability to be a part of or to pave the road for. I believe that my open mind allows me the ability to effectively address concerns and challenges at a political level. I also believe that there are many positive things that are happening in our community and that there are successes that we need to more openly celebrate and recognize. Over the next 6 months, I guess it's less now, I would like to gear my attention towards transparency and communications. I'd also like to see move towards portfolio holders within our chief and council, so all of our council members have an equal and active role at the table. I would just like to end by thanking the community members for participating in this process, for showing your support and providing valuable feedback, and by voicing your concerns and opinions. We can't move forward without it. Thank you.
Thanks, Donna. All right, Pat.
Hi, my name is Pat Sellers. My parents are Doreen and Gilbert Sellers. They both sat on council previously. The reason I decided to run for council this time is to see what kind of job opportunities I could bring on for all band members, to see if there's any see what kind of businesses what the business are affiliated with the band, then see if they do have what business out there they do have members working for them. If they don't, I would like to see what they would have to do to get them working for them, and to see if they need certificates, and I guess we'd have to check through the tribal council to check to see what they have on their database in there, because I'm pretty sure they have something in there. I'd also be, oh man, kind of nervous. Yeah, and I know I'm new at this, something I just wanted to try and see and go from there, and I'll do my best what I can do, what short time I do have. So I'd like just to more or less dip my feet into the political pool, and we'll go from there and see what I can do in such a short period of time. But the odds are I probably won't. I will run again, and for the next when the election's in, I'm not too sure it was. I think it's May or June. But that's the reason I've decided to join into this, try this council out, see what I can do, and see what I can do for the people. I know I've lot of little and none experience in political, but I'm willing to learn. And if they help me along the way, then so be it.
Thanks, Pat.
Yeah.
All right, Kelly.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Kelly Sellers, Soda Creek band member. I was born and raised in the community of Soda Creek, and my dad is Herman Sellers, my mom Bernie Sellers, and grandma and grandpa is Adele Sellers, and Ellen Michelle is my grandma with Louis Michelle. So yeah, so I've been like I said, born and raised here. Grew up on the ranching side, farming side of the community, and always believed in hard work and participating in the things that are going on around on the band. I have participated in former council, and I believe I was a great asset to the council as one who is able to speak and listen to the voices of the people. I thought it was a great opportunity to really get involved and get to know what's going on in the community politically, and as well as personally. Like, there's a lot of issues that are addressed that come forward that people don't actually realize the hurts and the needs of the people. And I was just thankful for the last part of the time that I was running or on part of council, that I was able to listen to the people, have address some of the concerns, being able to engage with them and be part of the solutions to helping them out. I've always been one to put myself out there to help people and to address things that are needed to be addressed. So I don't know, I just read the part of the forum, my forum platform. It says, I've put some thought into the council nomination platform. I still believe in the title and rights of the First Nations people. Saying this, I look to my past circumstances where I've defended the title and rights in political meetings and various non-status representatives, and I hope to continue to do so. I believe I bring a strong voice for the people of Soda Creek, a voice that needs to be heard, especially now in the times that we're in. The decisions made at Chief and Council need to be the needs of and wants of the Soda Creek membership. Some of which include jobs, not just jobs, but jobs with more than minimum wage. When we create jobs with better wages, it also creates hope and stability for the membership. Accessible jobs. Okay, sorry.
Thanks, Kelly.
All right, you're
Mark.
welcome.
Hello, everyone. Wait. I'm running for the current counselor position. I've recently joined the Xatśūll Education Department here at the band office, and I've been enjoying it. Many of you know me. I'm the daughter of Doreen and late Bob Haynes, granddaughter of Augusta Evans. I also grew up in Deep Creek and Soda Creek, playing by or fishing in the creeks and the rivers, hiking up to Granny Annie Sellers to visit, hiking up to Herman Sellers swimming pool, playing in old Soda Creek Reserve after church during special events or after hockey practices with the old Soda Creek Falcons. But after graduation, I left home, moving to the Yukon, where I took my teacher training through the University of Regina and got my bachelor degree in education in 1994. I taught in the Yukon for 13 years, and after taking a break from teaching there, I also worked for the Yukon government in various departments such as Health and Social Services, the Land Claims Secretariat, Community Services, and of course, Education. I left the Yukon going to Nanaimo, BC, and I trained there as a certified dental assistant. And doing that for a few years, I ended up in Alberta, dental assisting and also teaching again. But it was time for me to come home in 2016, where I did dental assisting. I was teaching again, working at Three Corners Health Services. I taught in all of the grades, kindergarten to grade 12 in the school district 27, and did a brief stint at Little Chiefs Primary School. Although I haven't been around the community over the years, I've remained aware of all the community events and issues. And at the age of 52, I now come with maturity and willingness to contribute positively to our community. Having gained experience and wisdom, I feel that I'm ready to commit and want to be here for the long haul. With all my career paths, my decisions and choices have brought me back here for a reason, and I feel that I'm ready to face it fully. I come to you with a clear mind that demonstrates honesty, hard work, and professionalism. I have an excellent work ethic, which I learned from my hardworking and truck driving dad, even having ridden with him to work in his logging truck and drove his truck. I have never done drugs in my life. I've never had issues with alcohol. I live a healthy lifestyle, trying always to be positive and cheerful. I've practiced yoga for 27 years, which involves meditative practices. I exercise regularly.
Marnie, you're muted.
I was just gonna get on there and say that.
Where did I leave off? Or where did I get muted?
Just after yoga.
I'm gonna jump to the. I'm just gonna jump to the first question, if that's all right. And the first question is going to go to Pat. Ignore that. How have you helped the community in the past 12 months?
How have I helped the community in the past 12 months? Well, I'll tell you the truth, I really haven't done much with the community the last 12 months. I've been so busy working off-site, off the reserve. I haven't worked for the reserve since I was a teenager. I've been working off the reserve since it's been a while. I just found myself that if I to have steady work, I would have had to go off the reserve. So I just started working off the reserve since 93. No, sorry, 2004. I started working at Poly Mine, then I went to logging, and then I started working for the Highways Department. So it's hard to that's a good question for me, because like I said, I haven't worked for the reserve for a long time. But I would find myself coming back to the reserve. That's one reason I took this, to try this council, see if I can get this council seat, to bring myself back to this reserve and see what I can do for the people. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. Same question to Kelly. How have you helped the community in the past 12 months?
Well, in the past 12 months, I've been a part of as you know, we've had many unfortunate deaths, and I've been a part of the ceremonies that have taken place at Hall and the burials and the funeral services, as well as participating with the members that have lost their loved ones, to comfort, to address needs that they have had. I've also, I've worked with the chief and council to address issues that the political issues on our title and rights, and there's many things that we passed at council. So I've worked with the other council members in decision making and the things that have been going forward. So I've also provided firewood for community members, like lending my truck to community members to just to go get themselves firewood, like firewood for other community members. Yeah. There you go.
Thanks, Cal. Just so you're aware, my timer is going loud and then really quiet. So you have 1 minute to answer the question. If I cut you off, it's just because a minute has gone. So this is going to Marnie. How have you helped the community in the past 12 months?
Well, like Pat, I have also been away from the community a lot, doing my education and various career paths, and also working to make good money because, as Pat said, there just isn't comparable wages working for the band. However, I have been away in the Yukon, Alberta, in Nanaimo, BC, following my career paths in education and other avenues. They've all led me back to Williams Lake, where I was teaching for the school district and Little Chiefs Primary School, where I had firsthand ability to work with the little ones, even from our community, and feel like I was doing my best to try to help them and to be a role model to them in education, and as well in the schools throughout Williams Lake. I came back. Department, is that your timer? Help our students now.
It is going in and out of the microphones. I apologize. It's not the best setup. We're going to move to the same question to Donna. How have you helped the community in the past 12 months?
The past 12 months, there's been a couple of things. I participated in the Child and Family project that's happening right now through the Northern Shuswap Tribal Council. I've provided feedback on surveys where the community is just looking for feedback on different areas. I volunteer to lead the Sun Run group. It's a walk run group. I've done that probably for the past 10 plus years. Just promoting healthy living. I provided knowledge that I have to share with the current administration as well as our current chief, and was happy to provide whatever I could as far as that information, and just contacting departments and providing feedback on any topics that I see coming out into the community. So thank you.
Thanks, Donna.
A minute
All
goes
right.
fast.
All right, we're gonna start with Kelly. So this one came to our live feed. So we are getting questions from the audience, and they're coming into the Facebook feed, and they're being sent to me via Max. So thanks, Max, for all your help. What is your time commitment you wish to give this seat if you're voted in?
My time commitment, I give all of my time to the community. I'm always here. I can be reached at any time, night or day, depending on whatever kind of circumstances come up. I'm definitely dedicated to helping the community and being there available if there's any needs that come up. Just even today, there was community members that I felt that needed help. I went down to see if they're okay. So my commitment is there for the people. That's a definite thing. I'm here. I'm always here. If people can stop by, if they need something or talk to me, I'm committed 100% to the seat and to the community. So I've always been there for that part. That's definitely a commitment that I take seriously. So yeah, that's it. Definitely, I'm here. All right.
Thanks, Kelly. Marnie?
Like I said earlier, I have recently come back to our community and am committed to be here for the long haul. However long people want me around, I'm committing myself. I've been a hard worker in every career path that I've made. I am dedicated to anything that I commit to. I am available as well and wish to be there to help the students, but as well as our community members, any decisions that need to be made through the chief and council. I don't have children, so I can commit myself fully. I am always available too, even though I don't live on the community. I had a couple of members phoning me on my days off, but I was happy to take the calls because I feel like it's important to be available to people when they do have needs or concerns. I plan to be here for the future.
Thanks, Marnie. Donna, what is your time commitment you wish to give this seat if you're voted in?
Well, I did apply for the communications assistant and was the successful candidate. So I actually just started that job this week. However, during my interview process, I did let them know that I was running for the position. And so I feel like that as long as I had, appropriate notice, that I could make arrangements with my employer. My evenings are free, my weekends are free. So I'm sure that there's something that could be worked out. We all know that the council position is not an endeavor of wealth. It's not a high paying position. So, everybody's got to go out and work to make a living. So, but I think as long as I had appropriate notice, I would definitely be making the time to commit to the seat.
Thank you. Pat.
Yeah, I'll commit to the seat 100%. And like I said, I'll really want to come back to the reserve and get know the people much better rather than just driving by and waving at each other. That's why I decided to run this time. And it's a hard thing for me because I'm such a very quiet person. So this is new to me, but like I said before, I'm willing to learn. I'm a quick learner. I think I am, and the reason that's why I'd say I forgot I would do good in my personally. Sort of don't mean to sound egotistical, but I would think I would catch on fast, and I would help. I would see what people wanted, and I'd listen, have an open ear. I wouldn't be so judgmental like I usually am. Like that's part of this job. This council is always listen to what people have to say. Don't be so critical about what people think. Got to be judged.
Thanks, Pat. All right. Next question starts with Marnie. How will you help the current council?
Sorry, you're cutting in and out. How will I help the current council?
Yeah.
Well, my intention, I hope, is to come in with a positive attitude and to be able to keep the forward momentum that the band is heading in, and to be working as a respectful team with positive communications that are assertive but non-aggressive, to represent the people and who we are here for is the people in the community, to be able to make clear, sound, fair, and consistent decision making. I can contribute that way. I would hope that I can be there to give advice with my varied background in careers and education I bring to the table with me. The fact that I've worked with the 14 First Nations in the Yukon Territory, I've worked with Cree, Ojibwe in Alberta and in Saskatchewan. I come with a well-rounded background of education, working from the bottom of the totem pole to the top, with the bottom of the totem pole to big wigs. So I have the ability to communicate at
Thanks, Marnie. Donna.
I think how I would help the current council is one, just sort of seeing where they're at and where they need me and what kind of tasks they need me to take on. I think I also would offer whatever knowledge I bring to the table. Like I had mentioned in my platform I have previous knowledge in treaty, health, natural resources administration, and then being on the political seats previously, I do have an understanding of some of those other levels of government that we have to deal with within our organization. I also have a very good idea of how the funding works and how it comes in and how it has to be paid out and the criteria around that, the reporting around that. So I think I bring that knowledge to the table as well. So thank you.
Thanks. Pat.
No, Pat did already.
Was that me?
Yep.
I thought you answered that question.
Nope. I'm checking you off. So
Oh.
I'm up to Pat. How will you help the current council?
How would I help the current council? Well, the first thing I would do is sit down and, well, I would have a sit down with the current council and see if I can talk to them and see where they're going at, what they're going for, and see what they have in the future. And then I would just see, I don't know about having real strong points. Strong points would be a whole bunch of different things with me. Like I said, people really don't know how I think, what I do. Like I've been off the reserve working off the reserve for so long, but that's why I wanted to come back. But see, that's the reason I really want to see where the reserve is going to go for the next 2 or 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever down the road. So that's one reason I want to run for council, is just to see where our band is going and take it from there. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Pat. Kelly, how will you help the current council?
I'll help the current council just by continuing to bring up the things that we've continued to discuss but never finished. We continue to bring, like, directing XDC, putting the fire under XDC's butt for the commercial enterprises that they are supposed to be responsible for the band. The count on bringing my strong voice to council, my ear to listen, and to bring the voices of the people to council, where many times at council those voices are never heard, and I hear things that are out in the community, and that's where I find that those issues are addressed at council, and a lot of times they would never be addressed unless I brought them up. So me not putting things to the side and bringing them to council when they're not leaving them, and I keep pushing on things, I don't let them go. So
Thanks, Kelly. All right, we're going back to Donna. The question is, can you read a financial statement and tell us what OSR is?
I think I was first on the last one for this question. Yes, I can read a financial statement. I am actually a certified bookkeeper, so that's not the job I want to spend full time in, but it's definitely been an asset for sure. I have sat on council before, so I'm familiar with the financial layout that the band currently uses. And I don't know if I want to be the first one to say what what it is. I will. It's own source revenue. It's a really important part. Pat and Kelly had mentioned, the jobs and the business and things like that. It's a huge part of our community. It's a big part of our dollars that come in, and it's part of the dollars that we're not limited to. We don't have criteria set to it except for what comes from our community. So yeah, really important piece. But yes, I'm quite familiar with financial statements. Thanks.
Perfect. Okay, Pat.
Financial statements. Good question. No, I'd have to look over a few times to figure out how to read one of those. Like I said, I've never been worked for council before, but I'm willing to try. Good God, man. It's part of the thing. It's a learning process for somebody that's new and to try to be a counselor. I would think it would be something interesting to learn. I know, like that is a good question, and I would just have to study for a while, have to go over it a few times. I'm sure I'm gonna have people help me help me read a financial statement. It'll probably take. Well, it shouldn't take too long, actually. I think I feel confident about reading one, and then we'll see how the money comes in and where it goes, how it's dispersed, and see if there's all other different avenues that we can move the money around, like just bring it into the band and read financial statement and see where the reserve is going. And that's a good one. I like that one. I'll have to work on that one.
Thanks, Pat. All right, Kelly.
What was the question again? Can I read financial statements?
Yeah, and tell us what OSR stands
Yes.
for.
Yeah, we have like just like Pat said, when we were new at it, I've come a long way through reading financial statements, being part of council, and having to go over the financial statement is getting understandings of where the money goes, budgets, and all the policies that go with that. And so, yes, definitely, I'm up to date on reading financial statements and OSR's own source revenue. I'd just like to say something about that. The abbreviations or what do they call them? Acronyms. This is one of the things that we discussed at council was that I think it's an inappropriate question for the forum here tonight because with new council members, it showed that it gave them unfair advantage because they've never been in the political arena where, and we decided at council that council was no longer to be using acronyms. They're supposed to be written out so that all council members are able to understand them. And that was one of the issues.
Thanks, Kelly. Marnie.
I agree with Kelly that I feel that as a community member myself, I'm educated and I've come with a whole variety of career backgrounds, and there are still acronyms that I'm like, what is this? You have to explain it. And I think that's an important part that everybody should be mindful of, no matter what level you are, the top or the bottom, that not everybody gets acronyms. I know how to read a financial statement. I manage my money well. I'm learning how to read the financials for the education department, but that's the issue. I'm willing to learn. And I just think that when people throw around the acronyms, that we need to be mindful that not everybody, even educated people, are going to understand acronyms. And I don't think that it should be viewed as a way to demean a person or bring them down. I think that we have to be able to build each other up and support each other and help them through this process.
Thanks, Marnie. All right. We're going to start with Pat. And the question from the live stream is, if you had an opportunity to change one thing with your seat as counselor, what would that be?
If I had one, repeat it again, please.
If you had an opportunity to change one thing when you're in the seat of as counselor, what would that be?
One thing, if I was a seat of a counselor.
Like, what would be the one thing you would change?
Change. Well, that question there, I think that question there, I would put it as, rather than just change one thing, I would look at more than just one thing to change. I would go after a different areas, and I wouldn't just focus on one thing. If one thing I've changed in council is, in my eyes, I really would like to see something done with the agriculture, with the fields, and with the fencing. That's one thing I really would like to see, because last summer, I took my granddaughter for a ride in the fields, and I could not believe how much hay went to waste because it was so high because we had so much rain. That's one thing I would really like to see the reserves. There's got to be some people up there that I know Kelly and Tony really started doing that. I said that's good. That's one thing I would like to see is more agricultural work in the valley because it seems like a lot of the fields go to the waste. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. All right, Kelly?
One thing I'd like to see that I'd like to change. I think the one thing that I would find probably the most important thing that would affect the general population of Soda Creek and the ones that need it the most is the minimum wage and their wage grid system that they got going. I'd like to see that change and upgraded to something that is more feasible for the ones that are working here, the ones that instead of us being penalized for being status and having our wages cut down because we're not paying taxes, that we should be getting those wages that out in the like Williams Lake areas or for those same jobs. Those are the things that we should be being paid, not being deducted because we're status. So I say minimum wage.
All right, Marty.
I think the biggest thing for me is that I would always represent the truth and openness, and to be a reminder to the people who come in from the outside of our community to help and work for us, that we are here for our community and for the members only and always, and that we need to represent them and remember them in any decision making. But I think that it also needs to be respectful decision making. I think that what's missing from what I remember as a kid growing up on the reserve and going into our old band office, there used to be joy, there used to be happiness. People were welcomed into the band office and able to sit and have coffee. It was an open, happy feeling. And that's what I strive to bring to any atmosphere, is that we have a place where people can feel that they can come and be heard and not judged, and to be able to voice their concerns in a casual way.
Thanks, Marty. Donna.
I think probably the one thing that I know that I've been sort of craving and wanting from the community, especially since COVID has kind of hit, is that community engagement. We were pretty consistent for quite some time with community meetings, and they were quite constructive. They were getting to a point where we were actually accomplishing and moving forward, and we haven't really been able to do that. And we may need to utilize, technology like this to make that happen. But I'm hearing it in the community that people want to have a say. They want to know what's going on. They want to be able to give their feedback, and they we get the newsletter, and that's good, but it's not always everything that we want. Some sections are really good and really detailed, and we get lots of information. Others maybe not so much. And at a community meeting or through some kind of community engagement, we could, help our departments help us.
Thanks, Donna. Pat.
Sorry, that was me. I was making noise. He probably didn't hear that. Christy, you might have to say it again.
I didn't hear a thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Pat, it's your question.
Yes.
So if you had an opportunity to change one thing in your seat, what would that be?
I think he already
He
answered.
answered that.
Okay. Sorry. My next question, I'm just gonna move to, what does a unified community mean to you?
A unified community for me would be where we could all just come into one place and like come into one area, come into the gym and all walk around and have talk with everybody and laugh and joke around, and then just walk around and just be very open. So how you could tell some people how your day was, and they'll tell you how their day was, and they'll see what they have to tell you, and you would listen to what they have to say, and then you try to help them as much as you can, and like just trying to bring the community back together, because right now the community seems like with this COVID thing is just so crazy. Like you can't even walk in the band opposite right now because it's closed, and that stuff like that. It's like I think that's one big thing that this COVID thing is doing. It just pulling the whole reserve apart, because we all got to stay in our bubble. Dr. Henry says, stay in the bubble.
Thanks, Pat. Kelly, what does a unified community mean to you?
Unified community. I believe a unified community is a community that has set out certain goals, and it's agreed upon by the majority of the people there. Like, I don't think there's ever a time when you can have 100% unity on anything, but it's got to be a majority of the people have agreed upon setting goals for something, and the community unified in reaching those goals. And so I think it's the unified community is a community that's striving for goals that they can agree upon, and the ones that they can't agree upon, then a unified community is being able to acknowledge those differences and maybe find ways around them. There's got to be communication for a unified community. There's got to be a willingness to bow down to somebody else's needs. That's what a unified community is.
Thanks, Kelly. Marnie.
I would say that a unified community is one that is positive and working together, that there isn't any pulling each other down. We need to be able to build each other up and support each other. We need to be respectful and accepting of each other. We're all related in some way, so we need to be kind and respectful and work in harmony with each other. I feel that we need that joy that is missing from the old days. Like I had mentioned before, I remember playing on the reserve in Soda Creek, playing up in Deep Creek, where there was laughter and joy, and people were actually there to support each other and to celebrate the good times, even though there have been many challenges, lots of pain and suffering, to pull each other through and to keep moving up. I think that, like Kelly said, the communication is important. Be it you agree or disagree, we still need to be respectful and non-aggressive.
Thanks, Marnie. Donna.
Well, I'm kind of exactly where everybody's at. I agree with everything that everybody said. I think it's a community that can come together and put ideas forward and then move those ideas forward together. Like Kelly said, setting goals and figuring out how we get to participate in that, and meeting each other where we're at. Like, not everybody is working full time. Not everybody has children. Some people have many children. Some, like we're all in different places, and we need to meet each other and utilize the skills that come along with that. Wherever we're at, we all have those skills to bring forward, and we're just missing that engagement. We're missing that piece of where we get to come together and encourage participation. I know a lot of people are not always comfortable coming forward and participating in events or things that are happening. Encourage your people to come forward. Bring a friend.
Thanks, Donna. All right, we're going to start this question, and it'll be Kelly. What would you do if you're in a conflict of interest, and what does conflict mean to you?
Well, that's been a conflict in the past. There's been many conflicts of interest in the past. being part of our council, and conflict of interest, if there is one, then it needs to be first brought to the attention of the people that where the conflict begins, to try to resolve that conflict in between two people. And if it can't be resolved there, then the conflict needs to be brought before council, where it could be discussed at a higher level. And and if it's still not being able to be resolved at council, then there needs to be other mediators brought in to be able to resolve any kind of conflict of interest. What was the other part of the question?
What would you do if you're in conflict of interest, and what does conflict mean to you?
And then if I was ever in the position of conflict of interest, is that I remove myself from the.
Thanks, Kelly. Marnie.
Well, obviously, I would let the council know that I am in conflict of interest, and have to remove myself from any decision making around it. Conflict to me would be, people not agreeing, but trying to work through some kind of mutual agreement in order to move ahead. I think that a conflict that would be major would be bullying and harassment. I don't think that there's anything achieved by that we need to, even though we might disagree, that we would have to work together to find a way to work to maybe agree to disagree, but also to do it in a respectful, non-aggressive manner, and one that is always keeping in our mind and in our hearts, the ultimate goal, which is the community and the members, and to be the voice of those people.
Thank you, Marnie. Donna.
Can you repeat the question just one more time?
Yeah. What would you do if you're in a conflict of interest, and what does conflict mean to you?
Okay. Well, a conflict of interest, we're required in the position to disclose any conflict that we would have at that table. So, that would be one of the first things that I would do is just letting them know. And usually you need to remove yourself from that decision-making process if there's a idea that you may benefit or keep somebody else from, benefiting, like if you've got your hand in the pot, so to speak. I would just basically disclose it, and I'm also required to do it at my job as well. I work at Northern Tribal Council, and I'm also required, so that for me, that could be a conflict of interest. And conflict to me is an opportunity to have discussions. It's an opportunity to bring your ideas forward, even if you disagree with one another. It's an opportunity to put everything on the table. So that's how I view conflict. Thanks.
Thanks, Donna. Pat?
Conflict of interest. That, or there would be conflict of interest. There would be a lot of different areas you'd have to look at to see what the conflict of interest really is, and where you'd have to sit back and take a look at it. And conflict of interest would be, when you think about conflict of interest and the reserve, it's so hard right now, because man, everybody's related to everybody. Not the same we're inbred reserve, but it says that conflict of interest would be saying that there's so much there's some families so much related with each other, saying that you'd have to sit down with each individual and talk to them and then bring them together. And then if you can't do anything after that, that's when you have to bring somebody else to bring in conflict. And conflict with me would be the conflict. Sorry.
No worries. 1 minute sometimes seems so short, and then it seems so long at the same time. I thank all of you for being the understanding of the timer. We're going to start this next question. It's going to go to Marnie. And the question from our viewers is, how important are long-term jobs for the community?
Well, they're obviously very important. I think that any job for our community members are important, but what is also important is the fact that Kelly brought up earlier, that we need to be able to pay our people well in order to keep them around and keep them committed to working for our community. Because right now there is a lack of funding for those certain positions that people won't even apply on, because why bother if the wage is minimum? So I think that it's important for us to work as a community to build that self-governance mentality, that if we want to move ahead with self-governance and move ahead with other positive ways of being a community, then we need to hire our people, put them to work, pay them well to keep them around, and make sure that they are going to commit and to be able to be happy and to feel pride about what they do.
Thanks, Marnie. Donna, how important are long-term jobs for the community?
Well, definitely they're very important. When you have consistency in an organization, it helps move things along. It keeps the ideas that came up prior still on the forefront. It helps you move your goals forward. I think I agree with the wage. It's difficult in community to compete with jobs that are outside of our community. You hear it all the time. If you're going to be here or here, and this one has more benefits, you're going to go somewhere where there's more benefits. I also think it's important to show respect for the people who we do have, who have been with us long term. We have some employees that have been with us a long time, and how are we supporting them? How are we ensuring that they're going to stay with us for another? We should be having people retire with us. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Thanks, Donna. Pat,
Repeat it again, please.
how important are long-term jobs for the community?
Long-term jobs for the community is very important, because it's so hard to find a good paying job out there, and you have to keep the community. You have to keep all the people that you have in there right now. You have to keep them happy. That you have to keep them pay them well enough, and so they will stay with you long term, and they will retire working for the reserve. I think that's really important, that you keep your employees really happy, and word will spread around that, hey, we should go work for these guys. These guys should be keeping their employees. So I think long-term job is really important, and to keep especially for the local band members, because they'll see it and they'll like it, and then they say, okay, we'll go from there. We'll be happy with it, and they keep the long-term jobs going for all the people that stick it out and stay there. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Pat. Kelly.
Long-term jobs. Long-term jobs has been probably the biggest priority in my past times on council, and they're very top of the list because of what long-term jobs do. They provide security. They provide hope for the community. They provide all the housing that would be necessary to paying rent, to providing for their families. So the stability of long-term jobs is a must. That's why I highly speak on wages and long-term jobs. Why I push on XDC for commercial enterprise. Those are the issues that have been there in council for quite some time, and I'm happy for the participation agreements we do have with Gibraltar and other areas around with the mills and stuff, for providing some of those long-term jobs or supporting community members and their families. So it's definitely a top of the list of my platform. I'm so up on that, and I'm even developing other too.
Thanks, Kelly. All right, we're going back up. Donna, this question is for you. What are some of your ideas that you're going to bring to the table?
I think there's a couple. So like I was talking about before, those communication forums and that community engagement, as long as we're in COVID and we can't have those community meetings, I would really be interested in looking at how we as council get information out to our community that is give and take, where there's feedback. So we have our council meeting on Zoom. We can go in and we can see what's happening with council, but you're an observer. You don't get to have feedback back and forth. And I would like to see a similar forum, but in a manner like this. People are putting in questions. They're able to participate and provide their feedback or questions or concerns and things like that. So I think that's one of the ideas that I would have. I also like the idea of platforms. I really don't want to let that go. I think our chief, I know the position. I know how much pressure that position is under, and we need to support that. So that would be the other for me. Thanks.
Thanks, Donna. Pat, do you want me to repeat again?
Yes, please.
Okay. What are some of your ideas that you will bring to the table?
Some of my ideas I will bring to the table. See what kind of employment opportunities are out there for all the band members, and see what the band, all the businesses the bands are affiliated with, and then see what they have to do if they have local members working for them, and see what they have to do if they don't, see what they have to do to get hired them onto them, see them just get out there and start working and stay employed, and always support your family. And what else? Oh, see what you have to do, what kind of grants are out there to help these people with these different certificates if they do need them, and with the campsite or with like agriculture I was talking about earlier, and see what there's different there's got to be different grants out there to help these people get paid alongside with.
Thanks, Pat. Kelly?
Question was opportunities, or
What are some of your ideas that you are going to bring to the table?
I think one of the ideas that I have is utilizing our area down by the Emporium. The Emporium has been a talk of this community for years for it being the restaurant, which it was not feasible. But there's many of an idea that I have with the restaurant is not only have a restaurant there, but have to build a zip line up on the mountain, to have a zip line going down through the valley, and building a museum down by the heritage site, so that we could bring our artifacts from Vancouver down there into a museum area where the people from the zip line could view the museum and use the restaurant for lunches and things like that, to bring tourism into the community, not only just for the heritage village, but for a zip line, for our artifacts, for a museum, to bring the people some interest into this community, bring other tourism, and have other people interested in saying, wow, look at this place, look what they got going on. It's somewhere we need to go, rather than just driving by the highway and there's nothing there.
Thanks, Kelly. Marnie, what are some of the ideas that you bring to the table?
Well, I think like we discussed earlier, is definitely getting more of our band members into the band office, more representation of our community members, being paid well, being there long-term, and to be able to have pride in their jobs and their community and what they're doing. I think also to, like Kelly said, get that Emporium going. It used to be a beautiful building where people from town and other areas drove out to have meals there and enjoy it. We need to get that refurbished and get it up and going again. The ranch, why don't we have more people working on our newly purchased ranch? We need to get them trained. Our daycare and our Head Start is getting up and going. We're in the process of doing that, and eventually, hopefully, expanding into a bigger building. I think that we need to have more community gatherings that are positive rather than always just for funerals. I think we need to bring our joy back to our community. Like we used to when we had our dances at the old community hall.
Thanks, Marnie. All right. This question goes to Pat to start. What does a healthy community look like to you?
A healthy community for me would be sobriety, and we have to have more wellness workshops for all the people that do battle with substance abuse and alcohol abuse. And that's where it comes back to everybody's got to come back together. The community been so split up for so many years, and that the healthy community was to get people to come out more to, well, we can't really do like we'll have to do everything for Zoom for a little while, sounds like. So everything it'll be that way for a bit. So we'll have to work with that from there. And then from there on, then we'll have to have more community events, like Donna was saying with the walk there. I can't remember, Sunrun, yeah, that's what it's called. That was good because me and Joanne were into that too, and that was getting a lot of people together because people like to walk. Like I walk every day. You guys see me walking up and down this road, and it's just so much healthier just to get out and get fresh air, and that's what a lot of people don't see. There's a lot of people not moving around because of COVID. But
Thanks, Pat. Kelly, what does a healthy community look like to you?
A healthy community is a healthy community is a community that comes together, that participates in functions, in forums, in band meetings. A healthy community is one that people can voice their opinions and be heard and feel like that the little thing that they might have to say is important. A healthy community is a community that's building each other up and listening to one another. One that just loves and respects each other. That's what I believe a healthy community is, and it's something that this community desperately needs. And I think that we are kind of working towards that. I've seen many good things through the newsletter. I was just amazed by some of the vibrancy of the people in this community, the smile, just beautiful. I think that's part of a healthy community.
Thanks, Kelly. Marnie, what does a healthy community look like to you?
Everything they all said. No. A healthy community to me is, I keep going back to it, when we were on the old reserve, everybody was in that central location. It was ideal. We had the church, we had the band office, we had the hockey rink, we had everyone living there. After church or after hockey games, everyone came and congregated. There was joy, there was laughter, people were telling stories. I think that it needs to be a place where we can come back together in positive ways. We need to use more of our community member role models that, for example, have been working at Gibraltar for how many years. There are many more talented individuals in our community that need to be representing us instead of always the same few representing us as a whole. We need to draw from everybody and everyone's strengths. And like I said, build each other up. We have hiking trails behind us and biking trails. Let's get out and use them.
Thanks,
And
Marnie. Donna, what does a healthy community look like to you?
Well, I think a healthy community is, there's so many levels to a healthy community. I think one of the things I would add to what everybody else has said is some cultural components, some cultural events, cultural activities, and just sort of practicing a little bit more. I've seen it at the council table. I was really happy to see some of the you know, the smudge happening at the table, that was important to me. And I really appreciated the time that went into, you know, just bringing that to the table. More physical activity, utilizing the gym, you know, when COVID is done, we need to utilize our gym a little bit more. And I think even getting the youth involved. I know that some of the funding that we get through the Indigenous Sport, Physical Activity and Recreation Council, they have money where they train your coaches. They'll come in, send somebody and train your own people to coach. There was a gentleman out at Gavin Lake when we went for the camp out. He offered to train somebody to do archery. You know, it's just things like that I think we need to utilize.
Thanks, Donna. All right, the next question we're going to start with Kelly. And the question is, how broad do you think council's authority stretches, and then on reserve or further?
Our authority as council stretches to the top levels of government because council, we are the voice of the people. That's the most important thing, and that's why I found it so important to be part of council, is because that we are the voice of the people. It's our authority is backed by the people. Our authority is backed by the traditions of the people. Our authority is backed by the things that have been spoken in the past. And so the authority of council is it's unlimited, because that's why we are called First Nations. That's why I believe in First Nations rights, in the authority of council, chief and council, and the people that are behind them, because I believe it is our place, and we need to be in those upper places to make those decisions in high government. So, thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. Marnie?
How broad is it? Well, like Kelly said, our chief and council represent our community, and those who don't have a platform to speak. We are here to represent those people who need a voice, and that extends locally, provincially, across Canada, globally. We have, like Kelly said, the power as First Nations people to voice what our wants and our needs are that were taken away from us so long ago in history, that we have the right and we have the power now to take that back and to extend it to whatever broadness we need to, because that is our right as an individual and as First Nations people and the community. We can be local, provincial, global. So we have a broad spectrum that we need to be very cognitive of and represent.
Thank you. Donna?
I think council authority on a political level is as far as your community wants to take it. Like Marnie was saying, we have the voice. We are at the table now. We are at the table locally, provincially, nationally. Our voices are at that level now. There are things that we've had to have discussions about just in rights and title, and how we support that and how we move that forward and how we support our community when they're out on the land and being told they can't be in certain places. I think that our authority is as far as we want to take it. When we're talking about just within our own community and our authority within the organization, I think it stays political. So I just want to make that clear. That's my opinion in the position that we work in a political level and we let our well-trained staff do their jobs.
Thanks, Donna. Pat?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yep. How broad do you think council's authority stretches, on reserve or further?
How broad does council stretch? I think it stretches on reserve and off reserve. We have both rights and title, and there's no boundaries. We First Nations people, we own this. This is all our land. It's plain and simple. And it's just that we've been so colonized by how long we've been treated, and that's the way I see it. That there's no boundaries with the council. The council is right up at our top government, and we have so much bureaucracy that come down before they actually get to us. But I don't think, like I said, I don't think that is right for. They have to say we have to go through this area and this area to get this money for this job and that job. I don't think that's crazy. Like I said, with on reserve and off reserve, there's no boundaries. With rights and titles, it's all. I'm sorry, but it is.
Thanks, Pat. All right, we're going to start with Marnie. How do you balance the teaching of our ancestors when protecting the environment and the community?
How do I balance? Can you repeat that? Sorry.
Yep, no, that's fair. How do you balance the teachings of our ancestors when protecting the environment and our community?
Well, for me personally, I live my life by whatever my ancestors I feel are pushing me towards. I've always practiced a healthy lifestyle, be it taking care of our land, taking care of our environment through recycling, through respectful use of it, going out on the land, be it fishing or hiking or biking in our communities. I think that it's important for us to follow the rules of our ancestors and also our leaders, that we are here to take care of our earth and that we need to always respect it no matter what we are doing. We need to be the how do you say, the defenders of earth, our beautiful lands of Soda Creek and Deep Creek. We need to protect them in any way possible, as simple as recycling.
Thanks, Marnie. Donna, do you want me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Okay, how do you balance the teachings of our ancestors when protecting the environment and the community?
Well, I think just for myself, one of the things that I practice and I go out and do in the spring is I go and collect birch, and there is a process around it that you don't just go to every single tree and take as much as you can in one spot, that you spread that out, and there's certain ways that you cut. You don't cut too deep, and there's you only take what you need, and you use everything that you take, that you share what you're harvesting. The other thing that we do is pitch medicine. We're always willing to, that's not something you sell, or if somebody needs it, you share it. And that's another way that we've practiced. And I think that there are areas within our traditional territory that absolutely need to be protected and preserved. And we all need to work at doing that. And there's a really fine balance. We also profit from economic development. So there's a fine line.
Thanks, Donna. Pat, and I'll repeat the question. How do you balance the teachings of our ancestors when protecting the environment and the community?
How do I balance the teaching of our ancestors? Well, one, I always go out with my wife, and we always go get millennium. Millennium's it's a top medicine. Everybody loves millennium. I go out with her doing that and bring it back, and she shows me how to do it. And it's a process. It's something to learn. And then we're all this going out likely mainly. We're all just going out that way when we're picking berries, huckleberries, or mushroom or whatever. But there's a lot of huckleberries. We love huckleberries. Oh my God. Anyways, that's one way we preserve what we have for our ancestors. Another is when we get medicine for our cat Minnie, and she tells us what we have to pick up, and says how to go about doing it. And Joanne's learned, well, Joanne's pretty good at it, but better than I am. But it's a learning process, and it's one thing we've really got to keep passing it down to our youth.
Thanks, Pat. Kelly, do you want me to repeat the question one more time?
Yeah, sure.
How do you balance the teachings of our ancestors when protecting the environment and the community?
Well, balance I think that the ancestors got to be utmostly respected because they brought forth our heritage, the way that things are done, what we believe, our title and rights, all of the things that they have brought forward. We need to protect and cherish their teachings. We need to practice them. We need to protect the areas that are vulnerable to that, anything that would that would jeopardize the teachings or the heritage that they bring forward. But there is also a balance. You said balance because there's other parts of the community that needs not only the balance of the ancestors' teaching, but the young generation that's come up. There's got to be a balance between them, and so there's a fine line between the young generation. The old need to be respected, but the old need to respect the new.
Thanks, Kelly. All right, our next question starts with Donna. What does treaty mean to you?
Treaty means a lot of different things to me. I think when treaty first started out, the biggest thing for me was self-governance. That was the biggest drive for me, whether treaty moved forward or not. Having the work done to govern ourselves in a manner that meets the needs of our community. That's always been the take for me from this process. It's a process that I feel like if we don't have the community engagement from community, that it's not something that moves forward without our community. But for me, the biggest take from treaty for me is self-governance and being self-sufficient in our own community.
Thanks, Donna. Pat, what does treaty mean to you?
What does treaty mean to me? Treaty means to me is that we have to control our own government. Self-governance is a big thing, and that's really one big part of it, of a treaty, is that we have to control everything, that we've got to look after everything that's coming in and everything that's going out. It's a big thing. Treaty is a big thing. Like a lot of people don't agree with treaty, and a lot of people agree with it. A lot of people don't. It's just so, it's such a how to explain this? How would I say it? It's so touch and go in different areas. And like people agree with this. Like, are we ready for treaty? Like, are people ready for treaty to be like? Are they ready to go out there and be treated like? We don't want to lose our status for one. I know we don't. A lot of people don't. That's so.
Thanks, Pat. Kelly? Kelly, what does treaty mean to you?
Treaty means it's very important. I believe in self-governance. I believe in title and rights. So treaty and self-governance, title and rights that's the most important thing about treaty. But it's treaty can't be won at the cost of the people and at the cost of people's rights. There's many things that treaty offer that is good. I've seen good things come to the table with treaty, but there's many things that in treaty that need to be settled, and until those things are settled, it jeopardizes the lives of our children and our children after them. It's not, treaty isn't everything that it just set out to be. I mean, it's a good thing, but we got to be leery. We got to be weary, and it's got to be set right. treaty means everything, but it could cost it everything. So we got to be careful. I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm not saying I'm for it. I'm saying it's all got to be settled before.
Thanks, Kelly. Marty, what does treaty mean to you?
I think that what comes to mind is that it is taking back what was ours, what was taken away from our ancestors who were our original caretakers of our land. I think that we are entitled to our lands and our rights that need to be challenged and taken back. We need to focus on becoming independent again so that we're not relying on government. We also need to have that self-governance where we're making our own decisions, we're regaining our own authority over our own lands, our restaurants, our stores, our schools. Be it a self-thriving community, we need to have control of that. But like Kelly said, with that comes a lot of responsibility that we need to be able to commit to as a whole, as a community, that we need people who are willing to stand up for our land and our power.
Thanks. Thanks, Marty.
And be brave and have courage to do it.
All right. I'm going to start with Pat. Who is your role model as a leader, and why are they your role model?
Who is my role model as a leader and why? Good question. I like that question. My role model for a leader would be obviously my mother. And my mother still held the seat of chief for, good God, how many years? 8 years? And it was that was my role model for mother. So I watched how she held herself with all the meetings, because she was one of the first lady chiefs around in the area at the time, and I've seen how committed she was to the people, and how she brought us all up to be the way how self-sufficient that we are now, and that's one thing that I've learned from ever since I got kicked out of school. Anyways, it was just she just instilled such work ethics with us, with my whole family, that we always looked up to her, and if we did something that she disagreed, she'd let us know. So that's one of my role models, would be my mother.
Thanks, Pat.
Even though she passed away 2 years ago. Okay, thank you.
All right, Kelly, who is your role model as a leader, and why are they your role model?
My role model is definitely my dad. He brought me up to be the man that I am today. He's brought me up to be a hard worker, committed to the land, to the people. He taught me how to look after my needs, but as well as the needs of all those around me. To listen to the people that are there, that are in the community. My dad was like, even as Pat said, like, he was chief for many years, a hereditary chief, and he was one that was always there to honor the people, to help and to do whatever it was, to lay his life down. That's what he taught me, is to lay my life down for the needs of others, and without any expectation that in return. So yeah, that's I guess that was my role model, my dad, and how he taught me. That's who I am, the way I am today.
Thanks, Kelly. Marnie, who is your role model as a leader, and why?
I would say the same as Kelly, my dad too, Bob Haynes. As a young child, I always looked up to him. He was the first man I loved, and I followed him everywhere. I told you earlier that I rode with him in the logging truck, and I learned from him a work ethic. I learned how to communicate with people. I learned that even as hard as things get, when the going gets tough, you just keep going. That you have to still maintain dignity and still maintain pride, and also to still be positive and happy and find joy in the things that are not so good. He taught me a lot, and I always miss him to this day, and I feel that he's always with me, no matter what. Even when I was driving rock truck this summer, I felt he was in the seat beside me telling me, no, that's not how you shift. So my dad taught me so many skills from childhood to adult.
Thanks, Marnie. Are you able to still hear my timer? I'm just doing a double check on sound.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Donna, who is your role model as a leader and why are they your role model?
Well, for sure I would say my mom. I can't say enough good things about her. One, she participates in everything for her community. If there's something going on, she's there. I have to book time on her calendar so I can get a chance. I always tell her, put it in pen so I get a chance to see you too. She's generous. Karma follows her everywhere. Good things happen to her, but it's because she's such a good person. She's hardworking. She's brave. I was just telling her that yesterday. Mom, you're so brave. Like you're just, she's a caregiver. I'm going to get emotional. She's a great grandmother. She's kind to everybody who comes her way. Yeah, she's tough as nails, though. Don't get me wrong. She'll put you in your place if she needs to. She packs her own wood. She shovels her own driveway. She walks 10 kilometers with us every year. When times get tough, she'll say, we'll get through this too. She's definitely my leader. She's the matriarch in our family, and we'll follow her wherever she takes us. So for sure, I would have to say my mom. That's not fair to be on camera and ask a question like that. Where's my tissues?
It shows vulnerability. It's all right. All right. We're going to start this question off with Kelly. How do you see elders and youth utilized in the political and cultural arena? So how can you see elders and youth utilized in the political and cultural arena?
Well, the elders and youth are the foundation of political, in the political arena. The elders bring forth the heritage, they bring forth the wisdom, they bring forth the ideas from the past. The youth bring forward the ideas that are coming up. They bring forth their needs of the new generation. They need to be heard because they're always the last ones people look to, but they're the ones that are most important. I always find that the youth and the elders are the ones that are least heard, but the most important. So I think that they need to be heard. The youth are so important because they're coming up. They're the ones that are going to be leading and their ideas, they need to be built up so that they feel important and the things that they say are important. So we need to hear, as council, we need to hear them. And that's one thing I've always said in the council is that we need to listen to them and we need a voice for the young people. That's the truth. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. Marnie?
I'm just writing my little notes here. Just that, of course, we need to rely on our elders. They are the ones who brought us into this world and came before us through all the ups and downs. And we need to look to them and respect them and listen to their wisdom and gain from their skills that they have, their wisdom and their culture. Some don't have culture because it was taken away from them, but to live according to what they advise us. The youth, oh my God, we have to take in their energy and their love, their positivity, their bounciness. They love unconditionally and they have ideas that come from places that you wouldn't even dream of or things that you wouldn't even think of. We need to take that and go with it and include both elders and youth in any decision making because they both have so much value to bring to us. And we've all been there. We've all been the little ones. Now we're all the wise ones. So we need to be able to bridge and learn from both. There's so much to learn from both.
Thanks, Marnie. Donna.
Can you say the question one more time, please?
You betcha. How can you see elders and youth utilized in the political and cultural arena?
Okay, well, I think it's one, just having maybe even like a youth group where we can utilize and pull people in, you know, to get ideas and have them be part of those processes when we're sitting at chief and council. And maybe even sort of an honorary, so they're not just observers, so we get to hear their voice at the table. I think the other thing is bringing them. I've seen other communities and attending different political formats or forums or conferences or whatever, where they've brought their youth and their elders with them to get their feedback, so they get to hear and they get to see what kind of ideas and things that are coming our way. It always starts and then it comes into the community, and just to get their ideas there. I feel like the elders bring the history and the youth bring those new ideas, and bringing those things together is going to be huge. We rely on the elders for past experience and how we got where we are, and we rely on the youth for the new where we are here on Zoom. You know, they've got the technology.
Thanks, Donna. Pat, how can you see elders and youth utilized in the political and cultural arena?
Well, with the elders, the elders, they have so much knowledge. They're so respected, and you have to bring them together along with the youth to show the youth that how they got brought up and what they know, and they show the experience, and they keep them together with the youth and with the elders and the youth together in meetings, just to show them that, like, we've always seen it this way, we've always had it this way, and it shows that the elders they will pick it up, the youth will pick it up. The elders just gotta sit there and talk to them and let them know this is how it was done when I was growing up, and this is how it should be done. It should be carried on, and that's one of the biggest things with the elders. They have all the knowledge in the world, and then you got these young kids sitting beside them when they are just sitting there saying, okay, how come this guy knows so much more than I do? Just elders need so much respect. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. All right, this question is going to go to Marnie. So everybody spoke of building each other up. Give an example of how you have done this or you anticipate doing this.
Well, I think, of course, always coming in to any situation with a positive outlook, a positive mind, a clear mind, to be able to, like we just said, share experiences from my varied background of career choices and knowledge, to be able to contribute to conversations and assist people with ideas or knowledge that I've gained, to be able to bring them up. And I think that working as a team, and like I said before, you know, working at different levels of the totem pole to be able to bring each other up through positivity, through communication, through pats on the back, through cheering when we have little celebrations, to putting an arm around the shoulder when they're hurt or having a difficult time, to be able to work through anything that is challenging and be there side by side rather than top to bottom or trying to pull people down. I think that we need to be able to support each other.
Thanks, Marnie. All right, Donna. Do you want me to repeat?
No, I'm gonna use our Sun Run group as an example, and one of the reasons I want to do that is because it's a volunteer group. It's community driven. It's not run by any of the band departments, although we do get support from the departments. We don't always agree on how the rules are, like how we come together and how we get through the program and how we complete the program. But we talk openly about it and we put everything on the table. And, you know, there's sometimes when somebody doesn't think that they can do it or they're not. And, you know, I'll give them a call and say, hey, what's going on? Do you need help? Do you need, you know, what do you need? It was also a program that used to be run through health, and it wasn't going to be anymore. So I volunteer just so that the program didn't end. It was something that the community members wanted to do, and they wanted to participate in, and we've been successful, really successful. We fundraise every year. We come together, we cater, we do bingos. We, you know, when we talk about lifting each other up, that's where it's at when we come together for those events. So.
Thanks, Donna. Pat?
How do you bring each other? The biggest thing I think would be if if person needs some help, and you have to bring them up. And you just listen to what the problem is. Listen with an open ear. And if they needed something, help them out as much as you can, and just go from there and get the community back together. That's the biggest thing. Then all the community members will be picking each other up, especially the families right now. Everybody's in their little bubble and they're just going crazy, being stuck in their little bubbles, which I am doing. Anyways, that would be one way to do it. Just get everybody together and talk amongst each other and help themselves, help each other and help themselves, just to keep everything in a level keel and just try to make everybody feel good about themselves, especially with this COVID thing.
Thanks, Pat. Kelly?
Can you repeat the question again?
You betcha. Everybody spoke of building each other up. Give an example of how you've done that or anticipate doing that.
Well, I'll tell you, I was really encouraged by one of the, I guess I don't know if it was a forum, but it was a community event at the hall where we're bringing forth our ideas for our 5-year plan, and there was all different kinds of tables set up all around, and there was different ideas that the people were all bringing. Everybody had different ideas, and everybody just didn't stay at one particular table. Everybody moved around and intertwined with one another. Some people just kept mixing everybody up, and I was really encouraged and encouraged other people by listening to the ideas that the people had and saying, you know, that's a good idea, you know, or what about this, you know, what about, and it was really the environment of the place was just it was ecstatic because of the encouragement and the things that were going on there. And that's what we need a lot more of, is that engagement with a whole bunch of people, ideas like that.
Thanks, Kelly. That's great. We're getting down to the wire. I only have basically one more question, and then we can look at closing. The question that has come in is, what does economic development mean to you? And I guess maybe give an example of another, like a possible way that the community could, I guess, develop themselves and develop their economy.
Who's the question to?
Who's the floor?
And we are going to start with Donna.
What does ECDev mean to me? What it means to me is a avenue to get to that self-sufficiency. When you have economic development in your community, you're bringing in dollars that don't have those criterias and government rules attached to it, that you can utilize those dollars to meet the needs of the community, whatever that may be, whether it's in health or administration, or, you know, whatever it may be. I think some of the things that we need to start looking at, especially with this COVID, it's not going away anytime soon. And when we're talking about outdoor opportunities. So when you have economic development in the community, and so I'm just going to focus on that. You know, we have trails that draw people in. We have the bike trails that draw people in. Our bike trails are really well known within this region. You hear about it quite often. I like the idea that Kelly was saying that, you know, when you have those activities that are outdoors and you focus on some of those things, those are things that people can do and get outside and be outside and not confined into a, you know, that's just one idea. ECDev is so big. It's such a huge, it includes.
Thanks, Donna.
Oh, sorry. I didn't
No,
hear your darn timer that time.
it just decides not to work. I think it's, yeah, sorry. All right, Pat, what does economic development mean to you? And I guess give an example of ways to grow the community's economy.
Economic development to me would be see what kind of opportunities are out there for the band members or working work-wise. And one thing I was really looking at was I heard they're building a building down the campsite for full-time person to stay there. I think that's an awesome idea. That's what they needed. They need somebody down there all the time. But that's the biggest thing, because a lot of the time you see people going through want to stop in there and they just like a drive by and the campers just pull in and they turn out because there's nobody there. But I think that's one thing I would think would be good economic development is get more, see if there's tourism dollars out there that would upgrade that campsite, because it's you could see it's getting run down. It needs work. It needs new bathrooms. It needs new hookups. It just that's one thing I would see that would be really something we should really put our economic development dollars into is the campsite. And
Thanks, Pat.
that's not me.
That's my mother. I just shut her down. That'll be perfect for our next question. Kelly, what does economic development mean to you, and how do you see growing the community's economy?
Well, economic development means everything to me, and that's something that, as a prior council, that I've always pushed on was economic development. And through XDC, through ideas like I've spoken before about the Emporium and the zip line, the other things that because without economic development, we got no future. We need economic development to build jobs and security for the people. The other idea that I thought I had is that we bought this ranch, right? And maybe we should think about building a slaughterhouse so that we could slaughter our own cattle and start bringing in slaughtering cattle to sell to the markets out there. Because you look at the difference in prices of when the cow is slaughtered to the price where it goes out, we could be making huge economic recoveries on money going out or coming in from that. So that's just one idea. There's many other things, but economic development, definitely top of my list of things for the community.
Thanks, Kelly. Marnie.
Oh, the sky is the limit. There's so many things that we can do economically to develop our community. Number one, train our members, get them back into the community and pay them well and working these positions that they can build their self-pride on. For example, like you had mentioned, the campsite, building the caretaker home, that project is underway. Their training is getting up and running. What a perfect opportunity to put skills to work. The ranch, the hay fields out there, with the ranch, we could be developing all those skills for our youth and whoever wants to work. Why not open a horse training center there? We have the great Soda Creek Emporium sitting there empty that we can refurbish and develop into a gas station / snack bar / restaurant. We have sawmill opportunities that can go on into our reserve. We have the log homes compound sitting there that we can benefit from.
Thanks, Marnie. Okay, the last question, and then we'll do a closing, is about balance. So this is how you determine whether work versus answering your mother's phone call is important. So being a leader is stressful and can take a toll on mental health, your family, etc. How are you going to maintain that balance between life and duties? And the question is going to go to Pat first.
Yes, being on council would be stressful. But with me, I would have no problems balancing it between my personal life and my duties, because my boys are all grown up and they're old enough to look after themselves. So that's one thing I would just commit myself thoroughly through this council seat, and we'll have no problem with it, with nothing. And mentally, no, I don't think so. Yeah, I think it would be good, because to me, I feel mentally strong, even though this COVID thing is crazy. It's just something we have to adapt to, and I think everybody's adapted pretty well. So I will have no problem with any kind of mental problems with it, and that's it.
Thanks, Pat. Kelly.
Repeat the question again.
So being a leader is stressful and can take a toll on your mental health, your family. How will you maintain balance between life and your duties?
Actually, I think it actually works out pretty well, because it seems like that my life and my duties are hand in hand. They go side by side, because my life is in the community and the ranching, and I'm always here, bus driving. I'm always have the time for my life is part of my my duty. I'm part of the community. I'm in and out of the community. I'm always around here, around the office, around. I'm always interacting with people. So they go hand in hand, and they balance each other. I don't have, I'm very strong-minded, willed, very free, very open. I don't have any problems with the balance of life and duties, because I think they go hand in hand, and they seem to work out pretty well. So yeah.
Thanks, Kelly. Marnie.
Well, I've always lived a healthy lifestyle. I've always taken care of myself through exercise, a healthy diet, getting out in nature, canoeing, hiking, cross-country skiing, doing whatever I need to get that negative energy out and be rejuvenating with positive. I've been working since I was 11 years old, being a babysitter, being at McDonald's, being a tea server, being a truck driver, being a teacher, dental assistant. So I know what it means to commit to any job that I am signed up for. I don't have children, so my focus is work, and my focus is doing a good job representing our community to the best of my ability. I always take care of myself through meditation, through prayer, through an energy healer and counselor. I do self-help work. I am always journaling for my self-help work. I do a lot of reading. I'm always learning and keeping that life balance in check.
Thanks, Marnie. Donna.
Balance for me, I think I've gotten better at it over time. I think having 4 children under the age of 8 at my age has probably helped me manage my time better. I manage schedules like you wouldn't believe. They all are at different places at different times. And but along with that, to be a good person to them and to do a good job for them, I have to take care of myself. So, I do things that to take care of myself, my mental health, just do that self-care. I participate in the walk run. That's huge for me. It's, you're out, you're in your own thoughts. You just clear everything off your plate, and you just, take care of yourself for a minute. So I probably wasn't very good at it the first time I went into council, but I think now I pretty much got it down packed. So
Thanks, Donna. All right, we're going to go into our closing session. First and foremost, I just want to say congratulations to everyone who's put their name forward. It takes bravery and courage. And also sitting for 2 hours on a Zoom call and listening and being so attentive is completely draining. And you probably did it all day as well, or possibly. So kudos. And we'll start off with our closing with Kelly.
Just a closing and just in general.
You will have 3 minutes.
3 minutes, wow.
Closing. I guess I just like to say, like, for all of the people that know me, that have represented or that have voted for me in the past. I haven't changed. I'm still the same person that I was then. Maybe even, I would say, even better so. I've learned from some of the mistakes that I've made. Won't do those again. I am definitely committed to the people. I care for the people. I love the people of Soda Creek. I will defend them. I will honor them. I honor the elders, the children. I think we have a great future with Soda Creek, and we need strong leadership to get there. I think as council, chief and council, that we need to work together to bring unity into the chief and council. I've seen great progresses in the past, in recent times, of how council and the chief is working together more fluently. The contention is somewhat better. The environment's better. So I just like to have that opportunity to represent the people, to bring forth the needs of the people, the youth, the elders, some of the ideas that we have, and just use that drive that I have, not to give up, and I don't let things go. I always push on things that haven't been done. They may be set aside, but they will not be forgotten, because I'll bring them up again. I've proven that in the past about things I have, and then things finally get done. So I'm a go-getter. I think that we need to definitely work together, and I just like to have that opportunity to represent the people again. And many people know that why I'm in this position I'm in right now, and I just had that opportunity to make it right. And that's what I did. So, and that's kind of the person I am. I don't let things slide. I'm honest, and I will definitely own up to things that I don't do right, and I'll definitely do right the next time. So, and that's kind of the man that I am, and the man that I will always be. I'm there for the people, and I always will be. And I don't let things slide. I just hope to have your votes again, your support, and I'll definitely be supporting you. So thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Marnie.
Well, firstly, I would like to say I'm just honored to be with this panel. I think that everybody's incredible with their knowledge and what they have brought tonight to contribute to this. And I wish all the other candidates luck, positivity, and strength to move forward. And I would support whoever gets into the position, should I not. But if I do get into the position, I would like the community and the members to know that I am what I am. You know me, I'm a hard worker. I have always been honest. I will always be impeccable with my word. I will represent all of you to the best of my ability. I'm always learning. I had an elder in Northern Shoshone in the Yukon named me Xatśūll, which means nose in the book. So I am always willing to learn whatever it takes to do a job well. And that's what I'm here to do for you, is to represent you and those people who may not have the courage to voice what they're feeling or their concerns. I'm here to do that, to help you to bring your voice to the table. I would like to ensure decision-making processes that ensure fair practices and that people are being fully represented in a fair way. I want our community to be proud and self-sufficient. I work hard, but I play hard too. Like I go out for a ride with my husband on his Harley. So I know what it means to have work balance, and I'm here to put it forward to you that I will do everything to do my best job. My granny Lizzie Evans used to say, if you're going to do something, do it right or don't do it at all. And that is how I've always lived my life, with her words in my head. And that's how I would do this job if I should be elected as councillor. And I just would like to give everybody a huge thank you, Xatśūll, for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts and ideas with you tonight. And I hope everyone stays well and safe during these difficult times. And again, thank you for letting me be so honored to be part of this panel of educated, well-spoken, honest, and true representation of what a council member should be. So, Xatśūll.
Thank you, Marnie. Donna.
I think before I go into sort of closing remarks and things like that, I wanted to acknowledge our community members who are dealing with COVID, and acknowledge our members who have been impacted greatly by COVID. Our numbers are not as high as some other communities, but man, it doesn't mean that our community hasn't been impacted by this illness. It's really crazy, and I just wanted to let them know that you're in our thoughts, our prayers. Our family thinks about you. We light candles for you. You're really in our hearts. I too would just like to acknowledge the other candidates. I think that again, it just shows the skill level that we have in our community and the passion that we have in our community, and the idea that we all want to help each other succeed. I can't say that enough. I think just having the questions and the questions that came in by community members just goes to show that not just at this table, but the people who are out in community and participating in this process, the questions that come in. I can't say I'm surprised. I know we've got really good, hardworking people in our community, and when we do processes like this, it just shows it shines through every time. So I just acknowledge the community members who participated in this process and allow us to participate in this process, because we're not here without them. So I think I just want to say that my being here tonight is because I do have a passion for this community. I do want our community to succeed. I feel like I'm open-minded, and that any idea that comes to the table is something that I would listen to and hear and have discussions about and go forward from there. I don't really have much more to say than that, but I am always just blown away when we have these types of forums. And I'm just so proud of our community and where we are and where we have the ability to go. And I've said it before, we don't do that. None of this chief and council do that without the participation of our community and without that engagement with our community. We need to hear their voices. Those voices need to get to the table some way, somehow, even during the time of COVID. We're missing that in this community right now. We don't have a voice right now at the table. We don't have a way to get our ideas
Thanks,
to the
Donna.
table. And I think we could do that. So thank you.
Thanks, Donna. Pat.
Yes, last one. Yeah, I would like to thank this panel here. This is awesome. I've never done this before in my life. This is the second Zoom call I've been ever on. Anyway, it's incredible technology, and to reach out to the people that we are reaching out to. We are reaching out to them today. tonight, I should say. And the questions were interesting, very interesting. There's like this, like my first time in stepping into the political pool, I guess you'd call it. And that's one thing that kind of blew me away at the start. But then I said, no, I'm comfortable with this. This feels good. I think I can handle this. I'm like, I've learned all my life that if you want something, go out and get it. And that's what I feel that's what I feel that the people that nominated me, I'm happy for them. I thank them. And that just that I've always been a hard worker, and I figured it's about time I gave it back to the community, because I've just been living in this community for a long time. It's been that long, I can't even remember. I'm getting older, right, Kel? And that's the way I feel about it. That I'm honored that people gave me a chance to put my name to run for council seat, and it just feels good. I'm like I feel like the community have trust in me to trust in me to win the seat if I do or not. If it's all like there's four good candidates here. We all know that, or wouldn't be here. Anyways, that's the way I feel about it. I'm just happy that everybody gave me a chance to do this. And this Zoom thing is craziness, but it's the way we have to go right now with this COVID, and people are adjusting to it. I applaud them people that are do, and people are staying in their bubbles. And it's like the COVID hit our reserve compared to the reserve is nothing compared to all the other reserves. And that's people just taking care of themselves, being smart, staying home, not being crazy, because it's just the crazy times. And I feel that me putting my name into this, it would be just interesting to see what I can do, how I can do it, and I feel good about it, and feel how people say see how people feel about how the council the way it is now, and just be happy and be safe, people.
Thanks, Pat. So that ends our evening. Again, I want to say thank you to the candidates, and I think I resonate with the whole amazing questions that we're pouring in. I hope I got all of them. And the 2 hours that everybody is dedicated to spend with us, and the candidates, and the 2 hours that the candidates have dedicated to spend with the community and answering these questions. So I want to say good night, be safe. Yes, and as like a Zoom call goes, you sort of flap like a chicken at the end of it, and we'll see you later.
Thanks, Christy. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you, yeah.
Bye,
Good
everybody.
job, guys.
Catch you guys later.
Take care.
Yeah, see you, Pat.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.